Let me set the scene. Picture this. It's already pushing 90 degrees. My shirt's plastered to my back, and I haven't even finished my second delivery. I'm telling you, I thought I'd seen every brand of crazy in this job. People screaming about prices, pit bulls chasing me halfway down a driveway. One guy tried to tip me with a block of expired cheese. But that Thursday, that's the day everything I thought I knew about difficult customers got thrown right out the window, thanks to one woman, Heather Collins. Now you know how some stories start slow. This ain't one of those. From the second I turned onto Maplewood Drive and Willow Creek Estates, I could feel something was off. This was the kind of neighborhood where every mailbox matches grass, gets cut with military precision, and you can't sneeze without a Ring camera catching it from 3 different angles. I've been running this same route, same truck, same company, Carolina Fuel Services, for almost a decade. You'd think that earned me some goodwill. Turns out I was about to meet the new sheriff in town. She's standing there right in the middle of the street, arms crossed, sunglasses, glinting thick binder hugged to her chest like it's the Lost Ark. Not even a polite wave, just stone. So I roll down my window, give her my friendliest, "Hey, morning, ma'am. Just need to pull up a couple feet." She doesn't budge. Instead, she leans in with this icy little smirk and hits me with, "You are not authorized to park that vehicle here." Not a hello, not a "can I help you?" Straight to the courtroom drama. I try to explain, I'm just here for a delivery, 15 minutes tops. Next thing I know, she's flipping open that binder with a snap and launches into a full legal reading citing Section 8, subsection D of the Willow Creek Estates bylaws like she wrote the damn things. Turns out Heather Collins is the new HOA president, and according to her, I'm violating a rule about commercial vehicles. Never mind the fact that I'd been parking there for years and nobody else ever had an issue. Nope, new leadership, new rules. I look around, see Mrs. Alvarez peeking nervously from behind her curtain. She's waiting on this Propane got family coming into town and her tank's running on fumes. So I try one more time, "Ma'am, this is just a delivery. I'll be out of here quick." She's not having it. Should have come before 8 or after 6. Like I'm running a covert ops schedule for fuel. Then comes the threat she's got Premier Towing on speed dial and gives me 5 minutes to move or else. I laugh. Who calls a tow truck on a propane guy? Apparently Heather does. I see her thumb hovering over the phone and suddenly survival mode kicks in. If she tows my rig, that's half my day gone angry customers. Maybe even a suspension from my boss. So what do? I hop out, grab my hose, and get to work. Dumb maybe. Necessary, absolutely. While I'm hustling, she's on the phone pacing, muttering about setting a precedent. 10 minutes later, the tow truck shows up. And wouldn't you know it, it's Mark, an old high school buddy. He takes one look at Heather, one look at me, and just shakes his head. "Can't tow a truck while it's pumping propane, ma'am. That's a safety thing." Heather's undeterred. He's cheating the system. Tow it when he's done. And so as soon as I finish, bam, $640 bill, and there goes my day. That was just the opening salvo. See, what I didn't realize right then is Heather wasn't trying to keep the neighborhood pretty. She was building an empire, her own little HOA fiefdom. Over the next 2 weeks, it was like living in a sitcom about small-town dictators. She started fining people for garden gnomes, threatening dog walkers for leashes that were too long, and making delivery drivers jump through hoops just to drop off a package. The whole place turned tense, neighbors whispering, folks getting up at dawn to avoid getting ticketed, me mapping out Heather avoidance routes with my co-workers like we were planning a bank heist. But here's the thing about people who crave power. They never stop at the letter of the law. They push and push until the law bends around them. And Heather, she was only getting started. Let me hit pause for a second and say HO, as in theory, aren't evil. Restrictions on commercial vehicles. They're meant to keep folks from turning their front yards into parking lots. But every system is just a tool, and in the wrong hands, well, a knife is just a knife until somebody points it at you. The rules were supposed to keep things neat, but they sure as heck weren't meant to keep old ladies freezing in winter or block fire trucks from getting fueled. Which brings me to the twist in this whole mess. One morning, Jake, my coworker, the kid who thinks nothing's serious until it is, calls me up, voice shaking. "Ethan, man, I'm screwed. They towed me from the fire station. That's right, the Willow Creek HOA president called a tow truck on a propane delivery to a fire station. Not even kidding. So I rush over, and there's Fire Chief Morris, arms folded, staring at where Jake's truck used to be. She says our emergency deliveries violate her HOA bylaws. He says deadpan. Didn't know whether to laugh or call the mayor. See, the road to the fire station runs through Willow Creek, and Heather decided even emergency services needed her permission slip. That's when things blew up. The fire chief got the city involved, the fire marshal, the city attorney. Suddenly, Heather's little binder didn't seem so powerful. The next HOA meeting was, I wish you could have seen it. Packed room, everybody's on edge, people recording with their phones like it's a courtroom drama. Heather's sitting there all confident like she's untouchable. Then Dan, the fire chief, gets up. Your rules are interfering with emergency services. Heather doesn't flinch. Our roads are private. The fire marshal steps in, and public safety overrides private governance. For just a second, I see something flicker in Heather's eyes, a crack in the armor. The board votes emergency vehicles and fuel deliveries get the exemption. Heather is the only number. You'd think she'd back down, right? Not a chance. 2 days later, we're back to crisis mode. The fire station's generator fails inspection, needs a replacement fast, and the official exemption paperwork hasn't gone through yet. If I drive in, Heather can call the tow truck again. My boss, Ray, he's worried about losing another truck. But the chief says it plain, if our generators fail, people die. That's the math. So I go in at dawn, beat the clockwork as fast as I can with Heather circling like a vulture phone glued to her ear. She calls the cops, the tow truck, the works. But the officer, Ramirez Goodman, asks me how long I'll be. 20 minutes. He nods. Finish. The tow truck arrives, sees the police cruiser, thinks better of it. We wrap up systems, online backup powers humming. And just like that, something in the neighborhood changes. People saw it. The absurdity, the danger. That night, Frank, a neighbor I barely knew, starts a petition. 68 signatures, calls a special meeting. The room's overflowing. 2 speeches, Heather's all property values and slippery slopes. Frank talks about missed work, kids late for school, just plain common sense. The vote isn't even close, 147 to 91. The rules get rewritten. Delivery vehicles allowed, common sense wins. And then, like fate had a sense of irony, a month later, Patricia from the finance committee grabs me after a drop-off. Ethan, she whispers, there's money missing. A lot. Turns out Heather, for all her speechifying about rules and order, had been quietly siphoning off 60 grand through fake vendors and shady accounts. The police get involved. Emergency meeting, audit charges, trial. Heather goes from Queen of Willow Creek to just another mugshot in the county records. After all that storm, the neighborhood just kind of exhaled. Deliveries went back to normal. No more dawn raids, no more whisper networks, just me, rolling up, doing my job, waving to Mrs. Alvarez, drinking her iced tea on the porch, like old times. The new HOA president, Tom Reeves, did what should have been obvious, posted all the finances online, made the rules clear, banned towing during active service in big, bold letters. It took all that mess for folks to see the truth. Power isn't the problem. It's who holds it and what they do with it. HOAs can be helpful. They can keep things fair, protect property, keep the peace. Or if nobody's paying attention, they can turn into little kingdoms where people like Heather get to play dictator. And here's the lesson that hit me hardest. If you walk away every time the system goes bad, all you're doing is handing the keys to the people who care least about everyone else. I could have quit, Ray. Even offered, let's just drop Willow Creek, Ethan. It's not worth the headache. But then what? Leave the seniors, the families, even the fire station stranded because one person can't see past her own reflection. That didn't sit right with me. So we stayed. We fought. We outlasted the storm. Now every time I drive through Willow Creek, it's blissfully boring. Kids riding bikes, dogs barking, Amazon vans, double parked. Nobody's losing their mind over parking rules. Heather's old house. Somebody new lives there, a young couple, chalk drawings on the driveway, flowers in the yard. Feels lighter somehow, like the whole place finally got to breathe. And sometimes someone will ask, was it worth it, all that drama? I say yeah, because it proves something simple but important. You don't have to be powerful to make a difference. You just have to be stubborn, a little bit brave, and unwilling to let bullies write the rules. Most of all, you've got to remember systems only work if people show up, pay attention, ask questions. Otherwise, it's just a stage for the loudest person in the room. So here's what I'll leave you with. Have you ever run into a rule that made zero sense? Or tangled with someone who cared more about control than community? Ever faced down a system that just wouldn't listen? Tell me your story down below. Because stories like these, they're not just entertainment. They're warnings. They're hope. They're proof that sometimes the smallest pushback from the right person can tip the whole thing back towards sanity. Thanks for sticking around to hear mine. Stay safe out there, and maybe next time you see someone out there sweating through their shirt just trying to do their job, maybe offer them a cold drink instead of a rule book.